Hi, this is Dr. Jeffrey Moss, and I would like to welcome you to this edition of Moss Minutes. And today I'm going to be talking about something that I've talked about quite often in these Moss Minutes sessions, and this is the issue of whether vitamin and mineral supplements, multivitamin, multi-mineral supplements, are really necessary, particularly in terms of prevention of chronic illnesses, the major chronic illnesses in our society. And as I pointed out, the research pretty much says that no, it really doesn't do all that much. And what do we hear over and over again from the critics, the quote-unquote establishment? What do they say? That if healthy people eating a healthy diet get all the nutrients they need and don't need supplements. And pretty much the research is bearing this out. However, I want to ask a question. And I'm going to use a very bad Jerry Seinfeld impression to do this. Who are these people? Where are these people? All these healthy people that don't need supplements. Well, to answer that question, I want to tell you about a few recently published reports. This first one was from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. This was actually an article that came out in the January 14th, 2010 edition of the New York Times, and discussing the issue of obesity. Nearly 34% of adults are obese, more than double the percentage of 30 years ago. And then they also point out that in terms of being overweight, 68% of adults and nearly one-third of children are considered at least overweight. And so, as we know, there's a lot of issues, health-related issues that are related to excess weight. So again, I ask, who are these people? Who are these healthy people? But yes, it doesn't stop there. Let's move on. Another report. This is out of the January 26, 2010 New York Times, and they were reporting on a survey released by the National Center for Health Statistics. And they point out that a third of us, my quote, are not feeling very well. The percentage of people who reported having excellent or very good health declined to 66% in the 2009 period, from 69.1% in 1998. And they point out, as you've probably heard, there have been many press releases on this, that the prevalence of type 2 diabetes has risen steadily. So I ask you, who are these people? All these healthy people that don't need supplements. Well, let's move on. The next paper I'd like to talk about, and this was done in children, and this paper was literally released within hours of the recording of this Moss Minutes. And this was a study that appeared in JAMA, and this was done on children, entitled Dynamics of Obesity and Chronic Health Conditions Among Children and Youth. And they looked at several different groups, and what they found was that there is a dramatic increase in chronic illness. There's a high prevalence of having a chronic condition during any part of the 6-year study period. And what did they notice? Particularly the illnesses of obesity, as I mentioned, but also asthma. And then in the accompanying editorial, Evolving Notions of Childhood Chronic Illness, was pointed out the more than doubling in the prevalence of chronic conditions reported by the authors is consistent with an increasing body of evidence documenting a historic shift in the epidemiology of child health from acute to chronic illnesses that began at least 50 years ago. So again, I ask you, who are these people? Where are all these healthy people? Yes, there are still some out there. None of these articles talked about 100%, but as you can imagine, when you add them all up, there are not as many healthy people out there as some would like to believe. So yes, if you are totally healthy, eating a totally healthy diet, you probably don't need supplements. But there are an awful lot of people that do. And as I've been talking about in entry-level clinical nutrition, by virtue of being sick, there's major alterations in nutrient metabolism. Yes, deficiency can exacerbate it. Poor digestion and absorption can exacerbate it. But even if you're eating well, the RDAs or whatever standard you want to use, even if your digestion is good, by virtue of being sick, major alterations in nutrient metabolism and a large body of research suggesting because of this nutritional supplementation, given the lifestyle that we've chosen in our society, nutritional supplementation is going to be a virtual necessity. So please keep this in mind. Yes, healthy people don't need supplementation, but sick people are not healthy people with just a few bad parts. They have profound metabolic alterations and abnormalities. And so yes, there's a very large group of people who will benefit from nutritional supplementation. This is Dr. Jeffrey Moss. I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of Moss Minutes. Look forward to talking with you on the next edition.